Hello, one and all, and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. My name is Mitch Pattinson, and as always, we are joined by Ethan Daffy, and tonight we are reviewing Carlton v Geelong at the MCG 320. You just had that grand final feeling about it, Daffy boy, dare I say it, but final scores were Geelong 12 goals for 76 to the Carlton Football Club 14 goals, 10, 94. Daff, there is so much to get through today. I'm going to go throw straight to you before we throw to our initial thoughts because there is a lot to touch on.
Yep.
One injury as well, but your thoughts to start off with straight off the bat. What is going through your head right now?
Oh, it's amazing. You forget how good a win like that is for your just the mentality of the supporters and the playing group and the club as a whole. That is one of the gutsiest wins. Like, we had some good wins last year, but the way it wasn't like a full grind. We played really, really good footy, but when it was on their terms, we always bounced back. We always struck back. Didn't kick one goal back to their three. We kicked 3 goals back to their 3. So it was absolutely rocking. Not gonna lie, my heart was racing. I was shitting myself when they kicked those first 3 goals. I'm sure people can relate. I'm sure you can relate, Patto. Those first 3 goals, we're thinking, oh no. Even though I think we all kind of had that little bit of trust because we built it throughout the game. I felt like it worked. Footy works in a funny way that when you play good for us, we've had some bad memories of when we've played well for 4 quarters and lost. But usually good teams, when they start well and they play well for 4 quarters for long enough, usually the footy gods go back in your favour. And they certainly did. And, I'll tell you what, the moment of the game, there was a lot of moments of the game, but I want to get this off straight away. George Hewitt's goal, I think that will forever. I know it's just a round 7 game. That's one of those goals you look back on in 20 years and it's like, where were you when he kicked that goal type moment? You know what I mean? Like, it's those big moments in the sporting events or, it doesn't have to be Carlton, but you were there when that happened. And when he kicked that ball through, the roar and we're home. You could see how much it meant to Cooper as well. He was hugging him like it was his dad. Well, he might be his dad, George Hewitt. He takes on the fatherly role, Patto. But it was fantastic by all 22 guys. Seriously, you can't really fault anyone today. That's my initial thoughts. And what are your initial thoughts, Patto, apart from George being a fatherly figure?
Mate, you could not have started off the episode any better mentioning how George Hewitt is everyone's buddy fucking dad, mate. It's unbelievable. But literally the first thing I was thinking after that game, and as soon as we were tested, you mentioned with the 3 goals in that, literally Jeremy Cameron kicked that first goal in 11 seconds.
Yeah.
It is exactly what it was 11 seconds in a 4th quarter, knowing how poor we've been in the 4th quarter, and especially in the second half, for them to actually bounce back after those 3 goals that Geelong kicked early, and especially after Bailey Smith kicking that goal to get to really get the Cats supporters up and about. But the first thing I thought after we actually held on, it's so fitting that this was in Anzac round because we actually showed the Anzac spirit, I think. Carlton Football Club actually tested, and obviously to a larger extent, it's nothing like what the Anzacs have gone through. But it's the Anzac spirit actually was within Carlton then, I really think. And the players, when you ever see George Hewitt kicking 60 metres at goal and literally marking it and say, boys, hold the fuck up. I'm taking the shot outside 50. And then Paddy Cripps probably I don't know if you've got it, Georgie. And he turns straight to him and say, fuck you, mate. I could absolutely nail it. But it's just small things like that where, he went back and trust himself 60 metres out. Well, 50 meters, but the kick probably went 60 meters. It's just small things like that I was just so pleased about. But yeah, you seriously could not have said it any better. But I guess I really want to touch on more stuff, but I don't want this episode to be any negative, and that's why I think we just very quickly touch on it now.
Yep.
Zach Williams, unfortunately, calf injury early in the first quarter, subbed out of the game early.
Yep.
And that obviously meant that Cooper Lord came in and played pretty much a full game, which is good for his development. I know in the previous episode I was mentioning about how I would like him to go back to the VFL because he's not getting a lot of game time. But now that he's getting pretty much a full game in the seniors, that's really good. And maybe he does keep his spot after this week. But to very quickly touch on this, Zach Williams, it is very, very unlucky because he kicked it ripper goal to start the game, and not long after that, he was actually subbed out with a calf. But more about how you what do we kind of think about Zach Williams and the calf injury and what his replacement will be, and do you think Cooper Lord could be that replacement to an extent?
Yeah, it was an interesting one, wasn't it? We were both speaking about it off air. We didn't really see what happened. They didn't, show it clearly. Sometimes when they really point it out. So clearly, it was something that happened just in a random player in a pack or some sort of weird play in the game. But yeah, it was very interesting. That goal he kicked, it was definitely a pass to. It was a 60-meter pass to Charlie, and it's gone through. And then, like you said, he was gone. It was gone. I just saw someone message me going, Williams is gone for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, looking into next week, I'd love to know the severity of it first. I'd imagine he hurt his Achilles 2 weeks ago and then he ended up playing the next game. So I think it's a waiting game. But yeah, if you look at Cooper Lord, he could be a guy that comes in. Who knows? You might restructure and maybe have another guy go into defence rather than, taking on the Williams role. You might have Durden and Fogarty and Motlop being the smalls, and you might opt to, have more defensive players might be, or could be Doc, could be Boyd, could be whoever. So yeah, that'll be an interesting watch to see what happens there. Yeah, it's frustrating for him because I seem like when he gets on a roll in games, he seems to get injured. And we can't, obviously today's game was lucky we didn't lose the game, but you can't afford to have guys go out in game that early, especially against good sides. Like if we're playing Adelaide next week, you don't want him going out at quarter time away from home. So
exactly right.
Fingers crossed he's okay.
Yeah. So finally that is out the way. All the negatives. And now for the rest of the episode, to the viewers watching, it is just positive from here. And I was thinking about, do you reckon that was probably the best win we've seen since the semi-final win against Melbourne? Probably the only win that comes to my mind might be Geelong last year. That's probably the only win that really comes close.
Yeah, I think in that patch last year we had a few good wins, over in Port Adelaide, that grind of a game, and then we kicked 9 in the last quarter, and then that was and then it led on to that Geelong game. So yeah, I think it's up there with those. I think the best part about this win is it's realising that, this season's not over. We've still got a part to play in this season, which is just a relief. Like a few weeks ago, we we're thinking, gee, how are we going to climb out of this hole that we're in? People are already talking about list management. We all, you all delve into that conversation because you start thinking, is the list good enough? I think the list is by far good enough. It was just they weren't performing at a high level, and that's on everyone at the club. They weren't good enough in the first 4 weeks, but yeah, today it was just it's a relief, but it just felt good. It just felt like it's okay. Like, what are they going to say now, Patto? Like I read the comments. Apparently, we were favoured by the umpires. So if we choked that lead and lost the game, right? So if we choked that lead and lost the game, everyone would have been bagging the shit out of us. But we hold on in a gutsy fashion against a good team, and we're favoured by the umpires. Like, it's just like people watching. I don't want you to be ever that fan, unless it's like some, there's an off game, where sometimes umpires are, costly. Sometimes late in games, but even then, you shouldn't be in a position in the game to lose the game based on umpiring decisions. So just the people out there, I don't want anyone, if we're losing games, just accept the loss. We're not good enough if we lose the game. It's just, I'm not a fan of that stuff. But if there's anyone else watching, what are you going to say now? What are you going to say now?
Yep, they'll just say, "Oh yeah, you only beat Geelong.
Yeah, yeah.
Only beat Geelong.
Only beat Geelong. But what happens if we beat Adelaide next week?
Hang on. Only beat Geelong. Geelong's a pretty fucking good side.
Yeah,
They made
prelim
they made
finalist.
right. They made the prelim last year. They were heading into that game. They were premiership favourites. They have beaten Hawthorn last week on Easter Monday, and yet we only beat Geelong.
Yep.
It's a funny thing to me.
What happens if we win? What happens if we win 10 in a row? Oh, we only beat. Oh, but no. Premierships aren't won in June. Premierships aren't won in July. They always say because Carlton always peak early in the season. I think we're slow. When I start seeing those comments on social media, that's the positive. That's when I know people are starting to go, fuck. Because they thought they were going to get a year of Carlton being mediocre again. They thought, okay, Carlton's had their 2 years of finals, back to the rock bottom. We're fucking back, baby.
I was actually watching First Crack, and Joey Montagna actually started off his first crack.
Yeah, yes.
The Blues are back, baby. Just like,
oh no.
It's just so funny that like he said it that way, because that's literally like every Carlton supporter right now. Blues are back, baby. But he's actually saying the Blues are back, baby. It's just funny. But yeah, I was thinking about it as well. I know I mentioned it to you off air before we start the episode, and just the guy. There's just some comments that literally the post hadn't been up for more than 10 minutes. He was already ripping into Jesse Mollop, and if he's in the side, we won't be a premiership team. And I'm like, can you just be happy for one night? I don't care if tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Yeah, 100%.
But one night. That's all I'm asking, Daffy boy.
There'll be someone, if we ever win a premiership, which I hope, fingers crossed it's this season or seasons, the upcoming season. We'll win the premiership and someone will go, oh, why didn't TDK hit that target in the third quarter? Who gives a bloody flying fuck? We just won, like people, and this is another message to everyone, like, just remember those 4 weeks. Take yourself back to the first 4 weeks of the season, how much we were dreading, going on these episodes.
Yes.
And then, not even just the episode, just going to the footy. It was just like, it felt like a chore.
Yes.
It felt like a chore, which it shouldn't. So you go back to that moment and then you kind of gain a little bit of perspective. You've got to enjoy these wins. It's not it's 4 points. It's same as last week, but you just got the extra special wins. Enjoy it now. Otherwise, what's the point of being a supporter of the team? Like, if you're not going to enjoy the highs, like, you just got to just wait for us to be bad again. You know what I mean? Or wait for that negative to come around. Be a part of it. Be positive. Have a strut when you walk down the street. Wear your Carlton merch tomorrow at work. Don't be, the first 4 weeks and people go, oh, it's typical Carlton, getting their hopes up. Come on. So if we win, it's bad. If we lose, we're bad. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. And like literally, I was thinking about it as well, I'm sure that there would be some conversation going to we're overreacting. But as you said, our start to the season has been fucking shit. So I would like to actually enjoy when 100%. We actually win. And we were like this after the West Coast game, and we were probably a little bit like, oh yeah, we only beat West Coast, but at least it was a win. We have that winning feeling back. Week after we did against North Melbourne, we're like, okay, we got a bit of momentum. Heading into Geelong, great to see. It's a great test this week.
Yeah.
In the preview, I literally said that I'm not going to tip Carlton because I have lost trust. But after today, it was a different Carlton, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That could be one of the greatest wins I've seen under Michael Voss.
Yeah.
Like that type of game style. And like we still have a few players out like Nick Newman, and obviously Jagger Smith will be returning next year, and he's going to be so good. Like it's crazy to actually think about. He's going to be literally the point of difference next year, and we haven't even seen him play. But also losing Zach Williams as well in the game, like early, small things like that and that's why I go back also to Anzac spirit. Just
Mm.
no matter what, digging in and also David King said on First Crack, the way Carlton play, and we aren't the Hollywood Hawks.
No.
Like we can't, nothing's pretty or nothing. Well, I mean, it could be pretty to an
Sometimes
extent.
at points it did today, actually.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's not the Hollywood Hawks, and it's not always pretty, and it's not always clean, and it's not always clinical,
Mm.
but
Mm.
we win.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
it's
matter.
and today the contest and pressure and the
Oh,
difference today and the difference that it has been the past few
yep.
weeks is when we actually get contested possessions, we actually aren't going forward as much. We are actually
Yes,
looking
yes.
behind to the runners like Adam Sard, Ollie Hollins. I mean, we don't even have Jordan Boyd in the side, and imagine if he comes back in and plays
Yeah.
a role. I don't think there's a spot for him at
No,
the moment. Matty
no.
Carroll as well. Like
Yeah.
there's will be people that will say he wasn't that great today by foot, but it doesn't matter because we were mentioning he is
Yeah.
so good defensively.
Mm.
He also can turn his game style into offense as well. Like
Yes.
offensively, like he is probably he's that point of difference because we have a left footer, and the way that
Mm.
he kicks the ball, I just think is fantastic, and he's
Yeah, yeah.
willing to take that risk.
That's
So
it.
after, did you see a different game style today with Carlton and the way that our contested and uncontested possessions as well was a
Yeah.
major thing? Did you see a difference today, especially pretty much beating Geelong just by applying pressure?
Yeah, I think your point in terms of the contested possessions is perfect. I noticed it really clearly
Yeah.
the whole game. I was going, we're not like you don't always have to force yourself forward from the possession. Not every possession has to go forward to go forward. To go forward because it ends up going forward. That's not people think it's like, I kick the ball long, kick the ball long. No, sometimes you need that one more handball out. And what I loved about the contested possessions today, there's always a runner, like you just said. Doesn't matter who it is. It really does not matter who it is. And the amount of times our mids linked up was superb. How many times did Chera end up on the end of it? How many times? And he's just hitting targets left, right, and center, Patto. It's really, really good to see. But yeah, in terms of Carroll's game, you spoke about the risks. I actually think taking risks is less risky than being safe. So people go, oh, don't take that kick. But if you don't take that kick, you're actually risking losing the game. That's the way I think of it. So if you don't take those kicks on, you risk losing the game. You don't risk losing possession, but you risk losing the game because you can't attack. So if you take those risks and you hit 7 out of 10, right? 3 of them turn over, 7 of them work, you're inside 57 times out of 10. And you saw it today. The kicks from McGovern, Haynes, Silvani's field kicking
Yes.
has been a massive standout for me. Like that, I think he hit a bullet with his left foot to Cripps on the wing or whoever it was. I was like, Jesus! Like I was like, that's really stood out to me, and that's an improvement in his game that I've seen. So yeah, overall, the contested, and you said with the uncontested, that's what wins your games. The uncontested stuff. We were too contested in the first 4 weeks of the season. We worked way too hard for little reward. Like we were getting, everyone's going, oh, how are we getting all these inside 50s and not, scoring? It's because we're always under the pump. We're always, we got inside 50. It's a pack. It's a contested, scrum, as you would call it. Everyone's jumping on the ball. But you look at it now, there could be 15 guys inside 50 and there's all of a sudden space for our forwards to lead into. So it's a relief. And it's like when you see that stuff, when they go through the guts, and one man in particular, Elijah Hollins, hitting those kicks, like John Longmire said, that zone from 50 to 70 meters out, just outside the 50-meter arc. How many times did Elijah Hollins hit that kick? And then he hits that kick, and whoever has the easiest kick ever. You're either going over the top to Harry or a short. We were speaking about it for the 4 weeks. We're going, can we figure out this forward structure? That's how you figure it out.
Yep.
It's obviously the forwards play a big part, but it's the ball movement leading up to that. It's the ball movement leading up to that. Rather than going long down the line, you're going cutting the angle, and then you go into short option. It's just good to see, Patto.
Yeah, yeah, you explained it really well there, actually. And the way that you mentioned about Elijah Hollins as well, and I know, um, in in the game, obviously I was working on the game. You were at the ground working as well, which is great to have those points of view of being behind the scenes like I was, and actually being
Yeah,
there as you were working was great. And what Jonathan Brown was saying is Elijah Hollins is so crucial to this
yeah,
side, and it's like the Matt Kennedy of last year. And I think Kennedy was a great player last year. He was a great servant of Carlton, but we knew that his value wasn't as high as Elijah Hollins. And we got Elijah Hollins for a packet of chips.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we pretty much are replacing Matt Kennedy, like the Matt Kennedy role with
yeah,
Elijah Hollins. And like,
yeah, yeah,
I didn't, I want to actually touch on his game right now. I know that I
mm,
want to touch on it a little bit later, but I think it's probably fitting to
yeah,
touch on
yeah,
it now. So 25 disposals, 25 disposals.
yeah,
I
yeah,
reckon that's probably going to be the highest disposals he's had in senior footy. Has to be. I don't think I've ever seen him get that much of the footy. One goal, four tackles, two clearances,
yeah.
429 meters gained. Like,
Yes,
he's just that point of difference, man. Like, he's and you said it there perfectly. The ball use and him, like the way that he looks instantly into spots of the ground that no one else probably. I mean, there's players that would look where
of course, yeah,
where he wants to go, but it's more just like he's always looking for that risky kick. And I completely agree what you said about um, when you're not going as risky, it's actually almost more risky.
100%.
Like actually going like when it's less risky, it's probably more like you're not really a chance to win the game.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's what like a lot of sides nowadays and a lot of the best sides are actually taking the game on, and they most of the time it pays off because they're all
100%.
extremely
Yep.
skillful and they
Mm.
know how to use the footy. And like Mitch McGovern was so good today. And we
Yeah,
literally mentioned it before we started the episode. As soon as he marked that footy early in the game, you just knew he was on. And there were so many players like that that just had a moment. Lockie Fogarty having that moment of that big tackle. Small things like
yep.
that, like Corey Dern taking an absolute screamer over SDK. Moments like that, it's just small moments where you just know, yep, all right, we're on. And
Yep.
we actually haven't had those moments early on in the year. Like, yes, we were kind of around the mark, but like Charlie Kerner kicking an early goal, getting the crowd
Yep.
up and about, like Harry Mackay doing his thing, taking marks
Yes.
down the line, like we've missed that.
Yes.
We have missed that. As soon as he took that mark down the line, I'm like, yeah, that's why we're trying to kick it down the line and say, if we
Yep.
don't have Harry there, we obviously like, why are we trying to kick it down the line?
Yeah.
But that's probably why, because we don't want to change our game style so much.
No,
Because most of the
no.
time, Harry is there and he's taking the
Yeah.
mark.
Mm.
It's just, and also what you said about the contested and uncontested. And I know that I've got the key stats that I'll touch on in more
Yep.
depth later on, but I thought we'll touch on that. I thought we would touch on touch on it right now. 145 contested possessions to 136 to Geelong,
Yep.
and 255 uncontested possessions to Geelong, 180. And
Yeah.
I think those numbers for contested is probably what we see most of the time with Carlton.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as you said, uncontested possessions is
That's
what
unbelievable.
wins you games of football.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe we have had it that high, but 255 uncontested possessions to
Yeah.
180 for Geelong.
Mm.
And it was like, it wasn't a blowout. It was actually somewhat of a close game
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
most of the game. I think that is unbelievable. And I guess, like, did you see a big difference today, especially with the uncontested possessions, or was it kind of like it's been building the whole year from my point of view? But I just think
Yeah.
today everything
Mm.
was perfect. How did you see it?
Yeah, I agree. It's been building and building and building. I reckon since the Dogs game. I think the
Yeah,
Dogs game, we fixed it. We should have won that game. Let's be real. I think a lot of the stats turned to we should have won that game, but we didn't. But today, with the uncontested stuff, for me, the uncontested is so important because it actually helps in both when you're attacking and when you also want to slow the game down. So when you're like, especially late in the game, like you said with Harry down the line, but it was always guys moving into a spot, and then you kick a 15-meter kick. You go short, you go short, you go short. It forces the opposition to go like, fuck, we can't get the ball off them. Like it's a mentality thing as well. And we did it at certain stages of the game when they got it on their terms. They kicked a couple goals. Someone would take a big mark. Haynes would take a big mark, and then he'd go short or switch to someone, and then they'd go short. And then you can hear the crowd going like, "I get it." Sometimes the crowd's going, moaning a little bit, but they're controlling the tempo, and
Yes.
then but then you see it. You see them. They give it to a good ball user like McGovern or whoever. They go bang. So he goes short, 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 uncontested, and then he sees in the middle. Geelong are a bit, frazzled, and they've been ball watching because you've had the ball. I know it from personal experience playing football. When you haven't had the ball for a minute or two and they're just chipping it around, it's like fucking hell, we can't get the pill. So then you start forcing stuff, and what happens, Patto? The middle of the ground opens up, and that's the good thing as well. Someone is there. I've said it for weeks. Just put yourself there.
Mm.
Put yourself there, and you will find it at some stage of the game. You won't get it every time, but if McGovern sees you, he'll pull the trigger. And sometimes it's to his own detriment, but he will pull the trigger. And you saw it with not just only him, but our whole defence. And credit to our defence, by the way. I think they've been superb for most of the season. To be honest, teams haven't scored that much
No.
against us this year. Would be one of the highest ranking defenses in the competition. And as a whole, it was fantastic from the smalls to the talls, and one man in particular. Jesus Christ. Nick Haynes.
Yeah, man.
Jesus Christ. It's the best game I've seen him play in a while. He had an All-Australian season in 2020, which he was superb for the Giants. But, that he is just telling the haters right now to bugger off. Because since that round one game, I think he's really stepped up.
Yeah. We mentioned it, I think, in the review episode of last week, and how many teams have actually gotten like a lot of points, like how many points we've conceded against opposition. And I think, by memory, I think one of the highest teams was Western Bulldogs. I think Western Bulldogs conceded a bit against us, and then I think so 83 Western Bulldogs scored against us, and then it was 82 against Richmond, and then I think the next best was Hawthorn at 80 points. So and then also against Collingwood, we only conceded, I think, 62. Some people would say it was because of the rain, but I think more importantly, I think it was down to how well we actually kept our defensive
100%.
skills and structure. And last week we conceded 71 points against North Melbourne, which I think was kind of a free-flowing game anyway.
Yeah.
And today was 76 points. So no one's conceded more, like no one has scored more than 83 points against us this year. And I actually think, like, there's people saying that our fixture's been easy. I don't know how the fuck this is easy, man. We played Richmond, who we were probably not expecting that pressure. Yes, we were 41 points up, but credit to them. Then we played Hawthorn. Then we played the Dogs. Then we played Collingwood.
Yeah.
Western Bulldogs are actually good. They just beat the Giants. Collingwood are actually, unfortunately, looking quite solid as well. Hawthorn, we know how good of a team they are and could be.
Yeah.
Today we beat Geelong, and I'm sure there will still be fucking haters, man. But I just don't think there's people that can be satisfied and actually realise. And I'm talking about Carlton supporters here. I'm not talking about AFL like supporters hating Carlton. I'm actually talking about Carlton supporters not conceding to the fact that we are actually playing good football at the moment. Yes, it's a result based, it's a win-loss business. But like if we're conceding 4 losses in the first 4 rounds and then we come back and win 3 in a row, next week heading over to Adelaide, I don't know. I think we're in a very good spot at the moment, and I think today proves that we not only that we are back, but we are actually a threat now. I think everything is kind of flowing together at the moment, and it's just so good to see. But is there anything else you want to try and touch on about the contested and uncontested possessions? Because I just think before we move on to other things, I think that was the big thing today for me.
No, I think we covered it really well. It was good to see. For me, it's from going to from contested to uncontested. Like that's the difference. You're not going from in the middle of the clearance. George gets it out to Chera, who's under pressure. He handballs it to Walsh under pressure. Like how many times do they get out? And it's a credit to each and every one of them, and the coaches as well. People were we were critiquing Michael Voss's press conferences, in the first 4 weeks, and that Dogs game he was saying there was a lot that we improved on, and people going, "What are you talking about?" But you got to look at the bigger picture sometimes, and you can't win football games every week. You just can't. Look at Geelong today. Like they lost the game. They're not going to go, Chris Scott. Like just get a fucking grip. You're not
Mm,
going to win every week. There's
mm.
better teams than us at the moment still.
Yeah,
You know what I
100%.
mean? We're not at our tip top best. We were very
100%.
good today, but
Mm.
there's so much more room to improve.
Would you think that was a full quarter performance today?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when their contest is up for four quarters, that's when I know we're on for four quarters. They're going to kick goals. And a few of those, the start of the last quarter, for some of those goals, a couple of bounces and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they'll kick, and they're clinical Geelong when they're in front of goal, and that's credit to them. They're a fantastic club and football team. That's why they stayed in the game. You look at the scoring shots quickly. You go 14-10 to 12-4. Like that's dominant, really, from us. Like, and that's clinical by them. So that's why they keep themselves in games, Patto, because their clinical happened last week. The momentum was against them in the second half. They kick goals when they need to kick goals, and we did that today. So it's it's a great win because they're a very, very good unit.
Yeah, it's really well said. And just before we touch on some players, and especially
Yeah.
some players that are just performing so well at the moment, a certain Brownlow medalist potentially this year. When you touched on how like the experience that obviously you've played with football, and then obviously I played a few years of football as well, and I completely agree about how like when you're the opposition and the team is actually having a lot of like a lot of the ball and not really not really letting your team get
Yeah.
the chance to really like you actually do try a little bit harder to get the ball off, and as you
Yes.
said, it then opens up an avenue. And something that I like from experience with what we were trying to do as a team is we always had to try and hold the football, but as soon as there was an open player in front, that's when you
Yes.
go. But
Yeah.
pretty much hold until you pretty much get to Adam Simpson and Justin Longmuir Longmire was
Yes.
talking about
Yes.
it
Yes. 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 Yeah.
about on AFL 360 about that probably 60 to 70 meters out from the 50-meter arc
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
that sort of area and actually bombing it in. We were trying our absolute best. And then I'm talking about like my experience as playing football. What we were trying to do is as soon as we got that possession around that arc, that's when we can then bomb it in. And that's
Yes.
exactly what Carlton, I think, with what I've
Yeah,
seen the
yeah.
past few weeks, is we are just trying to get easy possessions until we are up to a point where we're actually attacking and threatening.
Yeah.
And like even a small moment when Patrick Cripps took that mark about 80 meters out to the George Hewitt goal when he took that mark and then kicked it to
Yes.
George, lowering the eyes. And that's
Yeah.
more George taking the initiative and saying, hang on, I could be a chance to get an easier shot here. Because if he didn't lead, Cripps is probably banging that in, and then Geelong could easily kind of rebound that and potentially score. So that's credit to Cripps lowering the eyes and seeing George as that option. But it's also credit to George actually saying, all right, that's my role here, and that's how I can get an easier shot. And I think we mentioned it last week or the week before about how the midfielders are now making an impact inside 50. It's not so much now that the midfielders are kind of clogging up the forward 50. They're actually now making an impact. And I could guarantee now we are looking at George Hewitt's kicking a goal, Cripps is kicking a goal, Walsh is kicking a goal, Cherry kicking a goal. I know that they didn't all score goals today, but I think last week we had 13 or 14 goal scorers. And yes, we scored 150 points on the board, but there's small things like that. It's just crucial and it matters. Like the midfielders, when we have goal kicking midfielders, I that's how I know that we are actually a good side, and I think we're actually all right. But after saying that, before we touch on some plays, is there anything else you would like to touch on? And did you think, like, did you see the same thing about lowering the eyes a lot more today?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's. I agree. They're almost like for me. You can talk about doing stuff, right? As the coach, that's your job. You go, you need to do this, you need to do this, but putting it into practice is the hardest thing in footy. Shit teams would talk about things, right? West Coast, they'd talk about things, but they can't put it into practice because they're not good enough. But we know we're good enough, and we weren't putting it up, into practice in games. So my thing is, when you're 80, 90 meters out from goal, they don't even want to go inside 50. Sometimes there's moments where you have to, right? There's no option. They're covering it off. You got Harry in the 30 meters out from goal. You're gonna just bang it in, right? But you can see they're almost holding off. Like they're 70 meters out from goal. They're not even looking inside 50. They're looking outside 50. Just outside 50, around that zone, like you said. But they're almost holding up. They're almost go, oh, let's hold this up. I've said, like a couple of kicks, they were almost pulled back. Elijah Hollins did one. I think it was to Jesse Motlop maybe in the third quarter. I was watching the highlights just before, where he was running through the middle of the ground, and he could have just gone long. He actually could have gone long. Charlie was in a one-on-one, but instead he goes the short one, and that just puts off their defenders, because they have to battle Charlie again on another lead. He gets out the back. How many times did we get out the back?
Yeah.
Those easy ones, those easy marks. And what I say about easy goals, Patto? Easy goals win games. Long behinds from 55 metres out, they look great, don't they? They look great because you go, so close. But if you're doing those, what's the point? Look at Geelong. They kick easy goals. I know sometimes there's freakish goals out of nowhere. And we had a couple today, Elijah and Zach Williams and goals like that. But a lot of those goals, Fogarty's goals, were like 25 metres out. Durden, after he took mark of the century, he was 15 metres out. He didn't mark it on the boundary.
Yeah.
That's the difference for me, the way we're moving the ball. You get easier opportunities, and you get more opportunities closer to goal.
Yeah.
Rather than going, okay, I'm just going to take the first. I see Harry on the boundary. I'm just going to go to Harry on the boundary. So it's just enjoyable, man. And I've had a sigh of relief a lot of this episode, because it's really pleasing to see. It's enjoying to watch. Like, even though, David King was saying we're not a pretty team, but at some stages today, we were looking extremely pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Like, seriously, like looking back, and it is a sigh of relief, because it's now like, we're actually a good side. We're actually a good side, because we're unsure. We were like, how the fuck were we good last year? And like making it to an elimination final, and we don't even want to speak about the elimination final.
No.
And like how it can, like, I think we actually have been quite solid over the preseason. Everything looks good. We're like, how are we bad? How are we going backwards? And it's just a sigh of relief. And like, I think it's absolutely valid. And I think that's a lot of Carlton supporters. It's not like overly excitement. It's just calming, I feel. It's just like a reassurance of like, all right, we are all right. We are actually a good side, and we might lose the next 5 games in a row, or we'll be like, we're back to being shit again, that point. But that's all right. We're just going to enjoy the 27th of April today, Sunday. We're going to enjoy today as it stands. We go week by week, as we always love to say. But it's just fantastic. But before we do throw to some players, Daffy Boy, I just want to go through the goal keepers very quickly. So Jeremy Cameron, 4 goals. Harry Mackay, 3. Charlie Curnow, 3. Fogg with 2 goals as well. Zach Williams with the first goal that he kicked. Our first goal, I think. Geelong kicked the first goal, but Zach Williams obviously kicked our first goal. Will White, 1 goal, 3. And if he kicked that goal at the end of the game, if he kicked that went 3, he was right in front of the cheer squad as well.
I know.
And the replay of when he had if that went 3, he was right, like, as soon as he stopped, he just banged the bill. What do you call it? The fence bit. But what do you call it?
Yeah.
I don't even know what you call that. Like
the fence.
Nah, but it's like, they call it something. I don't know what it's called. I mean, like, I know, like, at local grounds it's a fence, but the spot, I don't even know what it's called. But I would say billboard, but a billboard of fucking what Patrick Cripps will be at the end of the year when he's holding up the cup mate on Punt Road. But
Punt Road, fuck that, Lygon Street, mate.
Like, well, I'm more thinking a lot of like the Richmond train station on the way back from the MCG and just seeing the billboard, but. I'm going a bit of a tangent here, David Boyd. But yeah, I mean, when he kicked that goal, if he kicked that goal, that would have just been such a great experience. But also just when he kicked that goal in front of that huge crowd, and just he's a blue bagger at heart and just tugging the jumper. It's just so good to see. So Will White, one goal. Tyson Stengel as well. Smith O'Connor, Elijah Hollands kicking a goal. George Hewitt a goal as well. Corey Dern, Tom DeConning, absolutely fantastic. And just a few other irrelevant Geelong players. Dangerfield, Close, and Blixar's also kicking a goal, Daffy Boy. But let's now move on to some players, Daff, and just touch on some stats. And the first person I think we need to touch on is very, very valid to touch on straight away, and it's George Hewitt. Oh, man.
It's getting ridiculous.
Hey?
It's getting ridiculous.
It actually is getting ridiculous.
It's getting ridiculous.
You know what I was thinking about when I was on the way home? It's now like we know that this guy's good, but it's so good that now like externally he's actually being realized that he's actually a good footballer. It's so promising. I mean, it's so reassuring to me that like he's now getting the credit that he deserves. But 29 disposals, 9 kicks, 20 handballs, 4 marks, 10 contested possessions, 1 goal as well, of course, a very, very important goal, 5 score involvements, 19 pressure acts. If I touch on the tackles as well, I think he had a few tackles. Yeah, 8 tackles as well. So he obviously had a very, very good game, Duffy Boy. But overall, how did you see George Hewitt's game as a whole? And I don't think he was the George Hewitt he has been for probably the whole year, but I think he also made it, even if he was a little bit quieter than usual, even though he still had 29 touches. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like he's been quieter than usual, but he's still having a huge impact. But when he kicked that goal, that just shows to me that he is a serious contender for not only our best and fairest, because I think he definitely will be top 3, but seriously, this Brownlow medal and even all Australian, man.
Yeah, I reckon.
Like from a larger point of view, how did you see his game today? I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's getting like we laugh. He's a Baggers Chat favourite. If you're a Baggers Chat listener, I'm sure you know we both, froth George Hewitt a lot. Even in past seasons we have. But yeah, like you said, it wasn't like last week's game, but I thought he was still dominant. It was just, he just makes the right decision every single time. And it's like, it gets to a point where it's like, come on, George, just make a mistake. I dare you make a mistake, George. But yeah, it's like, when the ball's there to be won, he's winning it.
Yeah.
He's winning it every time. Doesn't matter if it's Dangerfield. Doesn't matter if it's Wayne Carey. Doesn't matter if it's Gary Ablett Senior. He could beat them all at the moment because he's just him. That's what they say. He is him. He is George Hewitt. He has the aura, Patto. But yeah, it's just like, and then he topped it off with a goal. That just shows me how he stepped up his game. That is the evidence.
Yes,
like the evidence is throughout the whole game. But if you had to pick a point when he's taken the next level, him kicking that goal. No way he kicks that goal.
No,
he's never really been a great set shot in previous set. Like he's okay, but he's never been a long kick. I've spoken about it. He's never been a penetrating kick. Like, I don't reckon he's ever kicked a goal over 40 metres, really. And he's kicked one from 55 to seal the game in the MCG, Patto. That's levels. That's just increasing levels. And what I like about it is, and I reckon, you saw Cripps' reaction to that goal. Like, that was a proper hug, like a relief kind of hug. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he would love George Hewitt because we know how hard of a worker Cripps is, gets the most out of himself. George Hewitt is exactly the same. They're both workhorses. Imagine Cripps going, he's had years of carrying this team. Imagine going now, you got other guys running with me and above me. Look, he's playing better footy than Cripps this season. And that's no issue. And it's still 6 weeks into the season, 7 weeks into the season. It's not saying Cripps has been bad at all. But it's like he's taking the onus on himself, going, I'm going to take that next step. Kennedy's out of here. He's not taking my midfield minutes anymore. I'm going to take these full-time midfield and make them my own and defeat my opponent, whoever it is, whatever Voss wants me to do. Take Holmes, beat him. LDU last week, gave him a bath. Who's next? Who's next?
Mm.
Isaac Rankin? Who's the next victim on Georgie Hewitt's list? He probably has a list. You know, you see in crime movies how they, or there's like a contract killer, right? He has a list. You know, they have a list on there, on the wall, and it's like, okay, we've killed him off. We've killed him off. He's probably got a list. It was LDU, and then today Holmes, whoever. And then next week he's got Isaac. His eye, it's got a circle. It's got a massive circle with a dart in it. He's thrown a dart and George has gone, "You're gone, Isaac. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, and I'm taking it all."
You're gone, Isaac. You're gone. You know what else I was thinking? I'm like, the week after St Kilda, we might have to point the arrow at Jack Carroll, mate, even to an extent. Fucking hell.
Jack Carroll.
Oh,
Gee, I didn't think Jack Carroll's name was going to be brought up in this episode. That's when you know it's 11:15 on a Sunday night.
I blame.
We've lost our marbles.
I blame that on the very expensive Japanese whiskey.
It's hitting the brain.
Oh, mate, it hit me about 3 hours ago, mate, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean,
yep.
Oh, just looking at it from a wider point of view, like George Hewitt, the way, and you said it perfectly, and that was the way that I was wanting to try and explain it, and you explained it so much better than how I did. And the improvement where he can go back and kick that goal.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what I was trying to say, and the way that you said it was perfectly perfect. It's like, take a fucking bow, George Hewitt.
Yeah,
and just the passion when he kicks that goal as well. Like, he's just been so much more adamant to just, I don't know, it's something about this year, and I don't know if he kind of did feel a little bit disrespected last year with being dropped, kind of, I don't know if he kind of has a bit of a chip on his shoulder now this year, and now it's just letting off that anger. But just seeing that, it's just great. And I'm so glad seeing the way that the type of football he's playing right now. It's just awesome. But the next player that I thought I'd touch on, Daffy Boy, is Harry fucking Mackay, man. You just say Georgie fucking Hewitt, but today Harry Mackay, like, it's not even how well he played, and they said it perfectly on the broadcast as well. It's like, I think Carlton fans are so happy about Harry Mackay as the player, but also so happy for the Harry Mackay, the person. Yeah. Because him having that game today would just make him, I mean, we don't know, but I'll be very surprised if that would send him backwards. Because a game today making an impact, and him going back and nailing that goal, pressure moments.
That was a big one in that last quarter.
Huge.
That was when he took that. I'm like, if he kicks this, we're home, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, even though the game was still, to play, but those ones hurt when you're the opposition. Those ones that just like, now we're gonna have to kick another goal. Yeah. And he I saw him running across. I was like, this is the moment. Those big moments, and we've failed in the past. Like, the last few years we've been pretty good, but when we're bad, like, we'd always have a forward come across or not want to take on the opportunity and stamp their authority on the game. Where that ball would be, go to ground, and then it'll be rebounded out, and then Geelong would kick a goal, and then they'd probably go on to win the game. Like, that's a massive opportunity. And when he's set shot kicking the last 2 seasons, he's dead-eye dick. Yeah. He does not miss. I know he missed that one from 55 on the boundary from that free kick. So be it.
It's 55, 5 minutes out, though.
The gettable shots, he's nailing them. I don't want to hear any words. He's our best set shot kick since, I think, statistically last year, I think he was 43 goals, 20.
Nuts.
From set shots or something like that, or in total. So that's just ridiculous numbers. It's highest, one of the highest in the competition. Like I said, with George Hewitt's work ethic and wanting to improve, Harry was a Coleman medalist, and he still knew he had room to improve, and he finally nailed his set shot goal kicking routine. He wasn't going, some players accept it and they go, they're hit or miss. Travis Cloke was one of those players for Collingwood. Great player, but he never he never was consistent with his goal kicking, right? And Harry does not accept that. He goes, no. I might be still playing well and kicking a few goals every week, but my kicking is not up to standard. And in moments like that, he would have missed a few years ago. He would have missed, and we would have gone, face palmed, and you would have heard the crowd moan, and the whole momentum and the whole energy of the ground would have been sucked out of it. But instead, he goes back, kicks the goal, and we're on. And then he continued to take marks and marks and marks and marks and marks. 12 marks he took, second highest in the game behind Hainsey.
It's unbelievable. And what I was also about to mention about George Hewitt as well, about how he's actually going back and kicking goals this year.
Yeah.
And when you say that, when you said that about Harry Mackay as well, and I completely agree. And I thought I would very quickly go through his stats as well, Harry Mackay. So 3 goals, obviously, 19 disposals, just the exact role we want to play. Charlie stay deep, Mackay up the ground, but then they can switch as well, where Harry Mackay can stay deep, Charlie Kerner can go up the ground. 3 goals to Harry and 3 goals to Charlie. It's just unbelievable. That's exactly what we are waiting. That's what we've been waiting for all year. And I don't ever want to take that, like Harry Mackay or Charlie Kerner not being in the team for granted, because
100%.
it just shows there that they are so important. But as you said, 12 marks as well, 2 tackles, 4 hit-outs as well. So when he's going into the ruck, he's actually making an impact. 2 clearances as well. And I thought I was going through the clearances. Sardi, 5 clearances.
Yeah. So those stoppage ones, I felt like he was just amongst those stoppages.
Yeah, he was.
He was always there. He was always that outlet handball. I thought he was great today as well.
Yeah. But so I think that's enough for Harry Mackay, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I've got 3 other players that I thought I'd touch on, but I probably won't go through the key stats because I think the episode's gone quite long already. But if we need to touch on it, we will. But the 3 other players that I thought I would touch on, firstly, it's Paddy Cripps, and just a captain's game.
Yep.
And I have the stats right in front of me. So 29 touches, 14 contested possessions, 7 marks, 19 pressure acts, 8 clearances, 9 tackles for Patrick Cripps. And some people would say, oh, yeah, I don't think he was overly great today. But that shows, man, that he's still making a detrimental impact in the game. And it's not like he doesn't need to have 3 goals and he doesn't need to have 40 touches. And you said it, like George Hewitt has forced himself to be better than Patrick Cripps, and that shows something. Because Paddy Cripps, as you said, hasn't been shit this year. But George Hewitt has gone past him. Chera, to an extent, has probably gone past Cripps for now.
Yeah.
Cripps isn't even playing bad. So
great.
how did you see Patrick Cripps' game today, like a leader and a captain standing up in old style fashion in front of the 1995 Premiership players to celebrate? Like, even that to a larger extent is just fantastic that all the players stood up. But from a captain's game point of view, how did you find his game today? I thought he was fantastic as well.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. It's not a a superhuman performance, but it's a captain's performance. We don't need him to have 50 anymore. I'd love to, he's going to have a game like that here and there. Of course, it's going to happen because he's a superstar of the competition. But like, the one thing that set the tone for me in the game, he is a tone setter. Not many players are like that, in my opinion. I think you'd probably go 5 players, 6 players on each team in the competition, probably the good teams. The players that can change a game from one moment. And one of the moments was that tackle on Max Holmes in the middle of the ground. Yeah. He lands his tackle, and it sends a message to every Geelong player going, if you've got the ball and Cripps near you, mate, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, who would want to be smashing a tackle like that? You'd be going, no, thank you. They will not be lining up to get tackled like that. It's fantastic. And like you said, the moments, the one where the kick to George, he just does the right things. There's a few good 50-50 contests. A lot of our 50-50s were great today. We split them really well. I think a lot of them went in our favour. So, yeah, good game from Cripps.
Yeah. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Just like look at these stats as well again. Like 131 AFL fantasy, and not like I don't like going off AFL fantasy points. More so Supercoach points, because there's some players in the team that I obviously need to go well, because we love our Supercoach over here. That boy a bag of shit. But Like 131 fantasy, and he's second behind Bailey Smith. I just think. And
Mm.
was Elijah Hollands the person that you said who was the highest rated player on the ground?
Yes, yes, I did read that somewhere. The official ratings or whatever for the game. So he was the best. Yes.
That's just unbelievable. Like, I mean, it's just great to see so many players, and that's why the votes are going to be so fucking tough
Oh,
because it's going to be very tough to keep it to three. That's why we might even make it maybe 23 today, Duffy boy. We might not make it three.
my 23rd vote.
23rd vote, Zachary Williams with the
Michael Voss.
Harry O'Farrell from the
Oh, well,
VFL.
shout out to him. He kicked the
Yeah.
winning goal in the twos today. I could
Yeah.
not believe what I saw on that Insta video. I was like, what am I watching right
Yeah, I
now?
know. Crazy. But
Anyway.
two more players to get through, David Boyd, just for the stats. And Tom DeConning.
Yep.
My God. He is the best ruckman in the league by the
Yeah.
length of the Great Wall fucking of China, mate. Seriously. 20 disposals, 14 contested possessions,
Yeah.
8 score involvements, 39 hitouts,
Yeah.
and a Tom DeConning like goal.
Yes. Yes. I knew he was getting, when he got the ball, I knew it was a goal. I just knew it. He just wills the ball in almost. Like the right foot, made it like a ruckman. Like he's a big boy. Big boy. And he's kicked it on his right foot. Like how many goals like that does he kick? He kicked one last week where he bumped Jerry out of the way and he just slammed it on his butt. But he wills the ball in.
Yep.
Like it's not a flashy kick like David King says. It's not flashy. But he kicks the goal, like he's a big ball of energy, like he just runs around. He's a funny personality, and it's a personality that hopefully remains at the club, and I'm confident that he will stay. Obviously, he's still got a decision to make, but when you look at it now, I know people were saying St Kilda are ahead of us apparently. Um, It's almost like, come on, the Melbourne Comedy Festival isn't on anymore. Like that was done 2 weeks ago, like that was, I think it was, the start of April. Like, come on now. And then, we had Ross Lyon, and we'll get to that in a few weeks, but Ross Lyon said, he was asked about the Carlton job because he went for the Carlton job, and he said, Carlton made their bed and they lied in it, and I made my bed and lied in it. And it was a kind of a snarky thing saying they made a bad decision. So when we play the Saints in a few weeks' time, I'm going to bring my bed to the MCG and lie in it because I'll let him know about it. If I'm near the race, he's not getting away with that shit. Don't be giving me snarky crap because you couldn't get the fucking job at a good club. You had to go back to your ex, had to go back to his ex. Like, come on. It's just, it gives me bad vibes. And Voss gives me good vibes because he doesn't enable himself to get into that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like even last week, no, I think against West Coast, sorry, when he wasn't happy with the performance when every Carlton supporter kind of was, but it was like, no, like this is not
No.
the standard that we've come to. And I'm like, I've seen him more angry after a win against West Coast by 71 points when like he wasn't even that angry against the Pies the week before. But I'm like, well, he obviously not like it's so hard because when we lose games, and like when we lose games, just like why is he not showing emotion? And I'm like I feel like I know better than fucking other people saying he should be mad, he's not good enough, he needs to lift. But I'm like, that was the biggest kick up the bum for me. That my buddy bum hurts. That literally like it shows that Patto trusts the process, man. And I'm literally saying it. And like I 100% will put my hand up and say the first 4 weeks wasn't good enough. And I was really questioning Michael Voss. If we lost against West Coast, I reckon he would have probably lost the job. Well, I thought he probably would have. My God, has he come back and it's every single Carlton supporter that actually said that. This is why you need to trust me, trust the process, trust the coaching staff, trust the list management, trust the board. That was a big conversation then as well. Just small things like that. It's just awesome, man. I can't wait for round 9 when we verse Ross Lyon and Jackie Carroll on the G. I don't think Jack Carroll will be anywhere near.
I don't know. I don't think the VFL is playing on the G, Patto.
Unless they have a double header, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Carlton, all the Carlton rejects, Paddy Dowell, Liam Stocker.
Oh, Stocker as well. Fuck
Yeah,
me, God.
he's terrible, isn't he?
Yeah.
Jesus. They rate him so high. He's such a Saints player.
Good guy.
Just goes hard at the footy. Not really that good, but plays every week.
Yeah, spot on. But the last player that we'll touch on, Daffy Boy, and I wanted to keep this guy last. I think you would probably know who it is, but I literally, I have it in my title.
Yeah.
Carlton supporters wondered why we wanted Nick Haynes.
Yeah. Yep.
That's fucking why. 20 disposals,
Yep.
13 marks. I'll repeat it again. 13 marks.
13.
To the people who is listening and watching right now, if you're not paying attention, I will say it for a third time. 13 marks.
13.
13. 13. Imagine on the commentary you took the mark. 13. 9 intercept possessions, 3 score, 3 score involvements. Nick Haynes. Nicky Haynes, what are you doing, mate? And more importantly, 400 meters gained as a defender. And it just shows that every single time he gets the ball, he's looking forward. And like, yes, I don't mind if he kind of goes sideways or backwards if it's to a McGovern or a Sard. But when he gets the footy, he's still looking forward. He still has that attacking mindset. And that doesn't even show his defensive skills today. He probably the best game I've seen. I mean, definitely the best game we've seen in Navy Blue. But if anyone came to me saying that that's probably the best game he's played in his career, I probably wouldn't be surprised because I watched a lot of Nick Haynes at the Giants as well. And obviously he was very good at the Giants, all Australian. But that's why. And his experience, people say, yes, he's like 32 years of age. I don't know why but it's like it's experience and players now. The sports science of like within Australia and kind of worldwide, like players now are able to play till mid-30s. You can see LeBron James, who's still at the top of his game and he's still playing at the highest level. And he's fucking, like, I don't even know how old he is. I think he's like almost 40. 40. Yeah, he's 40. Yeah. So it's like small things like that. Like it's crazy why the amount of negativity and we kind of look back from a larger point of view, we still weren't over the Richmond loss. Yes. And I feel like we almost weren't over the performance from Nick Haynes from that Richmond loss as well.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
It's literally like it's like a domino effect and being like, but he needs to have a good game. And probably there will still be players of like people today, supporters, saying, but I still don't trust him. He was literally good straight after the Hawks game. From the Hawks game forward. Yeah. He really hasn't gone a foot wrong. But Nick Haynes, Daf, please give me your thoughts on his game. I know he's probably one of your favourites right now.
Yeah.
How'd you find his game? I thought, once again, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I've kind of defended him on some Instagram comments the last few. Good. Someone said something about him. No, when the selection came out, it's like, another week with Nick Haynes in our defence. And then I said, like genuinely, I said, have you been watching? And there's so many people. Like, it was good reply. Like, people are loving it. Like, you got to be stupid. That, like you said, I think that point is exactly what I'm thinking, and it's reflecting our season and reflecting him. That first loss, when we lost to the Dogs, it wasn't the Dogs' loss. It was the loss to Richmond we were still thinking about. Yes. Like the negative. Our thinking was every loss was as bad as the first loss. That's what the thinking was. It's not.
No,
they were not acceptable. We're not accepting the loss, but the loss to the Dogs was vastly different to the one against Richmond, which was embarrassing, right? Which was embarrassing. But like you said, with Haynes, it's exactly the same thing. They're still thinking of his first game, which was, it was a slow start from him. Let's be real. But since then, he's hit the ground running and. I'm liking this look of the defence. You got two new additions in there with Silvani and Haynes. And Haynes, he was enormous today. The marks he was taking, he was flying across. I was worried when he hurt his shoulder. I was like, oh no. I know. So obviously, touch wood. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully it's not a collarbone or some sort of AC joint type situation. But we'll hold our breath on that. But yeah, he was fantastic and. Not even just the marks, it's the 50-50s. Like the ball's hitting the deck, he's there. And there's nothing better when when the Carlton crowd start getting around one of their own, like one of their new players, when he takes a big mark and then he takes another big mark and the crowd gets louder every time he does something. It's like, you know, he's becoming a Carlton person because it takes a while to get to that stage. Like we've had recruits that, have never got to that stage and like who aren't at the club anymore, but they have a short stint at the club, but they couldn't progress further. But we know Haynes can get to that stage where we're like, he's a best 22. He's going to be every week. He's a Carlton player now. He's not a Giants player anymore. So it's pleasing to see. And yeah, it's been a really good wrap in terms of, some of those really key player performances.
Yeah. Yeah, you could not have said it better. And I know that we've touched on it a few times. And like the way that we look back at that Richmond loss, and I don't think we do it, but it's Carlton supporters, they aren't getting
Yeah.
over that loss. And I could almost guarantee, bet your bottom dollar, if that game didn't happen, the mindset right here, right now would be
Totally different.
totally different. I would love to actually see what it would be, but I feel
Yeah.
like it probably all changes now. I feel like after today, it actually all changes where those supporters that were still getting over that
Yeah.
loss from round one, hopefully after today, you've seen enough.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
like, this is not the same Carlton that we've kind of seen the past few weeks, but even against Hawthorn, we had moments and we were still
Yeah.
solid. Dogs, we were solid. Pies, like, yes, we weren't as good, but there were still other aspects of our game that were still good.
Mm.
I just think right now we're building after each week, and I think this was by far our best performance. But it's so great, and it's so we've said a few times, it's just so reassuring that they were able to go out there and hold the game when the game got tough. They actually held themselves, and
Yep.
they actually fought it out, and they actually won the game in the end. Like they were tested, extremely tested, and
Yep.
they went on to win to get the 4 points and the win. But David Boy, let's now move on to the last segment of the episode, our highly anticipated bagger of the game votes. It is I've just written down my votes, and it's probably the hardest. Seriously, there's like 5 players I don't even have. And I'm
Yeah.
like, can I just say also, we haven't even mentioned fucking Sam Walsh.
Yeah. Yeah.
How good
It
he
shows you how
was.
that shows you how good we
Yeah.
were today.
And like 30 disposal, seriously, I just think there's so many players that there was not a single player that went wrong today. Not
No.
a single player. And I just think they're all great. Your bag of the game votes, for the people who don't know what this is, we go to 3, 2, 1. 3 votes for the best player on the ground, 2 votes for the second best player, 1 vote for the third best player, just like the Brownlow system. Daff, your bagger of the game votes, very, very tough this week. What have you got?
Yeah, it's stiff. There's going to be players here where people might go, "Oh, how has he not put him in?" There's no issue. These are just the 3 names I think were most valuable in the game, almost in a sense. I think there was a lot of players valuable, probably 22, like you said. So I'll just go through these quickly. 1 vote, Harry Mackay. I thought he just stood out in the forward line. I thought he just played his role to a T and more and more. So, yeah, he was fantastic. It's just good seeing him. I think he's probably in my top 3 players at the club in terms of when he's up and about. I really enjoy watching tall key forwards like him present, and the way he was pressuring was great as well. 2 votes. I've got it. These 3 votes they're different names. So there's going to be a few guys who aren't featured in here. So 2 votes. I'm going Elijah Hollins. I think he breaks open games for us. And was it David King who said it?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, David King who said it. He's just he's just different gravy, as they would say.
About Elijah, sorry.
John O'Brien.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
John O'Brien, yeah. Yeah, he's just different. He's just a player we don't have. And like you said with the whole Kennedy's been good at the Dogs, but Kennedy's kind of a player we've already got in Hewitt. So you look at Hollins, and it's good to see. We luckily through work, we interviewed him after the game, and he was speaking about his return to footy. And he said it in a really, really good way. He was saying that, he missed playing on the G, and he said he had a few moments at the start of the game where he really soaked it in, like, that he was back at the G, which is good to see. And, there's always question marks around him and, his off-field stuff, but he's gone through that, and, similar to Harry, they've found a way through, and look at them now. They're in the bagger of the year votes. Patto, that's how far, and having those two guys in the team they're just valuable. So 3 votes for me. Nick Haynes is getting the 3 votes.
Wow.
And it's going to be his first 3 votes, I'd imagine, on bagger of the year. Not saying he hasn't been good this season, but he stood up for the whole game. Like, he was our defense was great, but he was the best defender. Like, him and Gov were great, but I just think Haynes, he was just taking marks that he shouldn't have taken. In those games where he just set himself for this game. You could tell. So shout out to Haynesy, 3 votes.
Yeah, it's so tough because mine looks completely different.
Yeah,
and another play we haven't even touched on as well. Jacob Wiedering, how good he was today after a bit of like a knee knock and a bit of doubt heading into the game.
Yeah,
that tackle on Dangerfield when he probably had about 18 free kicks before that. You got like chances to actually get the free kick, and finally he got the free kick for holding the ball, and he literally shook his hand, being like, "About fucking time, umpire." Seriously, like, it's just But Jacob Wayne, I thought it was another player that definitely won't feature in my votes, but definitely was good today. But my 1 vote, I'm going to go Nick Haynes.
Yeah, like it.
It's so stiff because you've got him 3 votes. It's definitely his. I think it's definitely the first time he's been featured in the votes this year. So he's already got 4 votes after 1 game. I think that's an unbelievable effort, and I seriously wouldn't be surprised if he gets the 3 Brownlow votes. He was that good. 2 votes. Georgie fucking Hewitt.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. I didn't want to because I'm like, yeah. But seriously,
he was good.
Game-winning goal was the point of difference for me. 29 disposals was still good, but the goal to go back and settle the nerves and just go back and say, boys, trust me. Every single supporter there, trust me. Every single supporter watching the TV, trust me. I'll go back and kick it and seal the game for the Navy Blues, and that's exactly what he did. Georgie Hewitt, 2 votes. 3 votes. It was quite clear to me. This is probably the easiest one to me. I thought he was by far the best player on the ground. Harry Mackay.
Yeah.
3 goals and 12 marks. And I think it's more recency bias because we've obviously had to deal with Harry Mackay not being in the side recently, and him coming back today.
Yeah, he was superb.
He was so good. And it's just the kicks down the line was the one thing for me. And I know that we've already mentioned it in the episode, but the kicks down the line is saying that I don't think we realize how important he is for that structure. Because you can keep Charlie deep, but as soon as Charlie comes up the ground, Harry Mackay goes deep. So it's so promising to see. And so 3 votes Harry Mackay, 2 votes Georgie, 1 vote Nick Haynes. But Daffy Boy, before we wrap up the episode, before we wrap up the review, a very exciting review episode, probably the best, by far the best review and the best win that we've had this year. Have you got any final thoughts?
Oh, that's just, the good old saying, the stronger together. I feel like we're getting stronger by the weeks go by as a supporter base, and, seeing the comments, we really appreciate it. Especially after a win, it's, share your comments, share what you think, how you felt about the game. It's just really, it's just pleasing, Patto, and, I'm going to be walking with a pep in my step for until when's the next game? Saturday. Against the Croms. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, spot on. Very well wrapped up, Daffy Boy. But as you said, we can't thank every single person enough who does leave a comment. Very consistently as well on our videos. We do try and respond to as many comments as possible. But also, if you do send us a message on our socials, we will definitely try and respond as quickly as we can. But to every single blue bagger out there, the Blues are officially back. Join me every single blue bagger in buying your grand final tickets, because I know that I bought mine 3 weeks ago where we beat the Eagles, mate. But every single blue bagger out there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel, but also make sure to get around our podcast platforms if you do want the audio version. If you're on the way to work and you want to listen to something in the car, or if you're on a walk or on a run, and you need something to listen to, make sure you put my annoying voice and Daffy's probably more pleasing voice in the ear in your headphones, and I'm sure it will get you I'm sure it will make the car drive a little bit easier. It's that at the point of the night where we're just fucking delirious, we just want to fucking go to sleep and just dream well about the Navy Blues. But also make sure to get around our socials, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. There's a few others out there, Daffy Boy. But to you, Daffy Boy, enjoy it. I'll see you for the preview episode. And to every single blue bagger out there.
The baggers.